They made us feel very comfortable and confident dealing with the Lloyd team, knowing that they are federally certified to sell property here in Mexico.
After the initial contact with the Lloyd team and the response on email, it was all in English as our responses back to them were, and the worry about the translation and the barrier when it came to Spanish and English was eliminated, as you know, Thomas and his team are very bilingual, which really lent us that support, and it was very refreshing. It eliminated the requirement for hand signals in a lot of ways, and it was nice. It was a really good experience that way.
One thing that was also very important to us when we started thinking about purchasing property in this area was that when we contacted the Lloyd team, we could send them any number of different options and properties that we wanted to look at, and they can set up all of the appointments themselves with any other particular agent or agencies that happen to have the property listed. And that way you're not, when you're getting down here, you're not running from one agent to another and meeting a number of different people. You can learn a lot about the area from Thomas and his team, and we found that very much similar to using our own agents at home. It's very similar, and it was a lot less stressful.
If you're thinking about buying real estate in Mexico, this may be the first time you've ever invested outside of your own country. So when it comes time to put your hard-earned money into a Mexican property, you should insist on a realtor with international business experience and a proven track record.
Working with the team worked excellent. Andy showed us the properties. He knew them very well. He was very confident in what he was showing us. He understood what we wanted, and he understood where to look for that. Working with Thomas on the paperwork and the closing of the deal, the interpretation that we required between the seller and us being the buyer was excellent with his bilingual language. And Claudia was superb in closing, translating, giving us the information as the process moved through to the end. It was excellent to have that support of a full team instead of one person who not necessarily knew every aspect of the business. It was wonderful.
With years of work experience in Mexico and hundreds of successful property acquisitions here in the Caribbean, Thomas Lloyd is the realtor of choice for a record number of buyers and sellers for the Mexican Caribbean real estate market.
I think one of the most important qualities for a realtor in Mexico to have is an ability to listen and understand what the buyer and seller, what they really want. The obstacles many buyers are facing is that there are hundreds of web pages out there today, and each web page is boasting 200, 300, 400 listings. Many buyers they're falling in love with properties that might have already been sold, or the pricing can be just not updated. It is a tremendous task for the administrators down here in Mexico to keep up with this constantly changing market. With the Lloyd team, our goal is to understand what the buyer's requests are. We research, find out what is real, update the information in the market. We focus the buyer's attention, as well as ours, on those properties that qualify and meet the buyer's criteria.
And the team at Lloyd's Real Estate has built their reputation on two basic goals: listen to what the buyer wants and protect the buyer's interests.
The buyer and the realtor must then qualify the properties according to the unit's location or the number of bedrooms the unit might have, and more importantly, qualify according to their legal status, the fiscal situation, even the monetary restrictions that might exist in an operation. It can be quite challenging for the buyer to coordinate all of this from another country with the language barriers that exist and even the business cultural differences here in Mexico. But this is where me and my team, this is where we specialize. We focus on identifying and communicating these factors to the buyer in order to help protect their interests and their monies.
Thomas Lloyd's expertise in managing and coordinating buyers' agendas and information both locally and internationally impressed clients Bob and Monique Pasquale.
If you've done any research in Mexico, you realize that the multiple lists service is just in its infancy. And one thing that I was really comfortable in working with Thomas is that I wanted him to follow through all the different properties. So if I found a listing that was with another agent, I would have Thomas make the calls, and that way I had one point person, which really made the transactions nice, and I didn't have to explain to another agent everything that I was looking for from the very beginning, because Thomas already knew what my needs were. He was just an assistant and followed through with the other agents and setting the appointments to see properties that were listed. So he acted as my buyer agent, and I think that is a wonderful way to go in Mexico.
And Lloyd's Real Estate continues to provide you with expert service through the administration of the closing activities.
We finally wrote a contract. We were so excited. Of course, it's very difficult. It's all in Spanish, and Thomas had a wonderful assistant, Bea, who followed through with the details of each thing and emailed me and telephoned me in the States and explained each step of the contract along the way, so it made me feel very comfortable. Even though we have experience in the real estate and rental properties in the United States, this was our first international transaction, and it was nice to feel that we had such a strong team behind us.
The language barrier, of course, is not an issue. Tom speaks fluent Spanish and English.
I was very concerned when I first started looking for property in Mexico, but when I found Thomas Lloyd, it was such a relief. Really, he helped us with the whole transaction. He was very honest and trustworthy, and that just built my confidence in purchasing a property in Mexico.
We wanted, so they basically narrowed it down to a few projects and found us what we wanted.
Thomas has a really good group of legal people behind him as far as weeding through all of the legalities in purchasing a property as a foreigner in Mexico.
It was great. Thomas showed us everything, and Andy showed us everything that was available throughout the real estate industry. It was really good that way.
Okay, guys, thanks very much for your time. Time for us to go fishing right now and catch some supper. What are we going to get, Rube? Bonito, tuna, wahoo. Bye-bye.
Well, there goes another happy client. Put Lloyd's Real Estate to work for you too, and I'm confident we can help you in finding your ideal Mexican home.